Usually, we're resistant to an event or situation when it's something that causes us discomfort or it's something that causes us pain. It's when what's happening outside of us doesn't match up with what's inside of us. We've talked previously about this built self, this conceptual model that you've been building ever since childhood. We all have things and mental impressions of how life should be and how we should control it in order to be comfortable. The things that happen externally and outside of you are inevitably going to contradict this inner conceptual model that's just impossible to uphold. So let's think of an example. If someone is saying something or doing something to you that you don't like, you're actually resisting it because you don't want it to leave an impression of you because it doesn't match up with the impression of you that you have inside. You're actually spending a lot of time and energy resisting the current moment, resisting what that person said or did, or the event, or whatever it is that doesn't quite match up. You're resisting it. You're not actually really resisting those things happening because they happened. It's part of history, it's in the past. So, what we're really resisting is the actual experience of the event passing through us. We're not allowing it to pass through us, we're actually holding on to it because we don't like it and we don't accept it. Now, what I've come to learn is that this is a tremendous waste of time and energy. It's something that you don't do consciously, obviously, but it's just such a waste of time. The more you resist what's happening in the now, what's happening in the present moment, the harder it will be to actually cope with life, and it will be way more of a struggle. This is because we're holding on to all of these past things that we've resisted that we're not letting pass through us. I want to give you an example from my own personal resistances and how that's affected my own experience of life. It's only about a month ago that I confronted this idea of resistance when I went for a long walk. Now, out of nowhere, all of a sudden, as it happens to most of us, memories propped up of things that bothered me, things that happened several months ago, several years ago, even things that people said to me, people did to me that hurt me, that affected me. Now, what I experienced was actually quite profound because in those moments where those memories came up, I actually felt a surge of anger. I felt a sudden surge of, I can't believe this person treated me this way or did this thing. And remember, this was something that maybe happened years ago, that person probably doesn't remember. The other people that were in the room probably didn't remember. I'm the only person that's dealing with it. I'm the one that's struggling with it. I'm not struggling with what actually happened because it happened. I'm struggling with myself. Once I realized that I'm actually here now on this beautiful sunny day, walking amongst the trees and nature, I was lucky enough to be able to see it from a seat of awareness, to understand that it was affecting my experience of life negatively. I noticed that my mind was actually trying to distract myself from this thought because it wanted to stay comfortable in my resistances. It wanted to stay comfortable in the model that I built for myself and my identity. I went from thinking about this person bothering me to another time someone else bothered me, or to an event that I was bothered by previously. I really contemplated the question, why am I holding on to these things? It's causing me pain and discomfort, and I don't want to feel pain and discomfort. Why am I holding on to them? The true answer to that question, and after really contemplating it, is because I identify with those feelings. I identify with it. In some weird way, I needed to hold on to feeling that discomfort because that's who I was or who I am. So, to set me on the path of not resisting these things anymore, I actually need to accept them. I need to accept that that's who I am, that's what I've always been, and that's my identity that I've built. I need to accept that people and events will always inevitably aggravate at some point those things that I'm most sensitive about. I really wanted to deal with my anger. So I really wanted to try and see from their perspective, from the people that were doing and saying these things, try and see from their perspective so I could forgive them. I tried to understand what they went through in their own lives that might have led them to do that. I feel like I have a very deflated ego. I'm very self deprecating. It's very easy for me to fall into self hatred. But there are others that have very inflated egos that feel like in order for them to survive, they need to put other people down like they've been put down. It's the only way they can validate themselves. True forgiveness and acceptance is understanding these things, understanding their perspectives, and it's not all about how it affects you. This really led me to understand why I let some things pass through me. There are many things people have said to me. There are many arguments I've gone into that I don't even remember. It's only the ones that really hit my true insecurities, what I've built as my identity, that I hold on to because I feel like I have to. In order to let go of resistance, we all need to understand that we all have preconceived notions of how things should be and how we should be. These preconceived notions are actually formulated from past events, past impressions, what people have said, what things have happened to you. These all become the basis and the foundations for what we resist, for what we hold on to, for what we need to hold on to feel that we have a sense of self. You're wasting so much energy on something that actually isn't reality. It's not something that's happening right now. You're wasting so much time getting lost in those thoughts and past events and avoiding future events that you're not in the here and now. You're not actually being able to deal with what's happening in front of you. Just as I've said in every other video, awareness is the key. The more aware you are of these past impressions and the resistances that you have to them, the more likely you are to actually accept what's happened to you and to let go of these resistances. When you start doing this, you'll begin to notice that most of the problems that you have aren't actually to do with the situation at all. The situation is just a situation. It's neutral. It doesn't have a good or a bad. It's the problems that you associate with it because of your resistances. A true spiritual path is one with no problems, no stressful situations, no burnouts, but acceptance, accepting the current situation, accepting what you resisted in the past, and letting go. We can each do this in small steps. Once we get to a point where we can see our resistances flaring up and being able to identify when they flare up, we can use these moments to build us up rather than push us down, to understand that we can relax behind it, to understand that most of the time it's an irrational self-belief that we have based on a past impression. Once we truly get good at this, life will stop being such a struggle. When things happen to you that affect you, you can let go of them a lot easier. Now, personally, I've only just accessed a glimpse of what this is in my own journey. It's something that's really helped me to let go of things. Like that example when I went for a walk, I felt angry and I let go of it more easily. I hope to continue with this path and only get better at letting go and not resisting, as I truly think it's a stepping stone and an invaluable tool in order to live a joyful and peaceful life. So yep, another video done. Thanks so much again for stopping by and hopefully see you soon.